You've done it. You're over level 50 and things are starting to truly unlock for Diablo IV. The end game has begun. But now you're faced with an ever-moving series of boards, not unlike the deadly game of musical chairs known as the Paragon system. In this video today, I want to help break down the Paragon system by showing you how you can build out your boards without any help from build guides or what have you. What I'll effectively be doing is showing you how to approach Paragon boards so they're not an overwhelming mess. First, we'll talk about some general information pertaining to the boards so that I don't need to cover it during the rest of the video. Then we'll break out how we build a Paragon board for one of my characters, giving you the methods and ethos so that you can do this for any of your builds going forward. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by up-fronting the information in my video so you can decide if it's the right one for you. So this time it's going to be a bit more difficult because we're talking about a lot of methods that will be custom to your character, but let me give you the critical facts you should know. Essentially, you want to look at every single board and look at the rare nodes, not the legendary nodes. Those nodes are going to be your focus because you're limited to the amount of points you can spend. And it takes roughly 30 points to go from start to a legendary node, then out without focusing on anything else. So we circumvent that by focusing on the rare nodes that are a direct complement to your build. For example, I am building predominantly Overpower, so I choose a board that has lots of rare nodes with Overpower on it versus the one board with a legendary Overpower ability. Not to say you shouldn't, because usually one or two legendary nodes are worth it for your build, but the rare nodes afford you a ton of benefit, and most boards' legendary nodes are build specific. Also, you want to focus on the glyphs that complement your build and put them in a board that has enough nodes that will actually trigger the bonus of the glyph. I'll show you how to do all of that in a bit, but that's it. That's the gist of what we'll be covering. If that's enough to get you started, then please feel free to shut the video down. I want to get you back in the game as fast as possible. If you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. Each one of those does truly help me out in a very huge way. Also, I have a massive playlist filled with all of my guides and how-tos for Diablo IV, linked in the description as well at the end of the video, so if you need help, head on over there. You can quickly navigate to any part of this video that does interest you the most using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. Lastly, please don't forget to follow me on Twitch, where I'll be streaming Diablo IV as well as all the Diablo IV Twitch drops. Let's get started here on the best way to spend Paragon points in Diablo IV. So loading into the game, let's go through some general information here about Paragon points, Paragon boards, everything. Again, just general information. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the fact that you have a total of 225 Paragon points. 200 from leveling, 20 from renown, 4 from Lilith statues, and then 1 once you hit like level 100 or whatever shit. But 225 is your total amount of points. So again, make sure you are doing your renown. As you can see, I've clearly not done that, but that's a free 20 points that you can get. And any character that you level from this point onward, if you have your Lilith statues and your Paragon points, you've got something like 25 points or 24 points right once they hit 50 that you can put into a Paragon board, which is pretty much your very first board. You knock it out, you're done with. The one that you start with. So into the actual Paragon board, let's take a look here. The glyphs themselves that we're going to talk about once we kind of dissect the board a little bit. You can remove these by simply right-clicking, and you can just go ahead and put them back in whenever you want. Unlike the nodes, that is free. But refunding Paragon points is just like refunding skill tree points. You can see here it only costs 534 points. I right-click and I refunded it. But nonetheless, you can refund both. Swapping glyphs is free though. As for the glyphs themselves, you can see I have all of my rare glyphs. You will find all of your rare glyphs in time. You can find your rare glyphs anywhere in tier 3 or 4, but they seem to have a much higher drop rate, specifically in Nightmare dungeons. Also, leveling these glyphs, as you can see here, this one says level 1. This one says level 4. This one says level 3. But leveling these glyphs is done at the end of Nightmare dungeons, with the higher tiers rewarding more experience. And the nice thing is that upgrading a glyph, you will spend the exact experience points needed to upgrade it, if you have enough. Then it'll allow you to allocate the rest elsewhere if you want. So the formula for experience, though, is 2 experience times the dungeon's tier. So A tier 10 dungeon is 20 experience to allocate to glyphs. After rare glyphs reach level 15, if you look over here, it says range 3. Their range goes up by 1, up to range 4 once they hit level 15. So that's kind of a big priority of yours, and we'll go through that a little bit more once we build this out. But just like Diablo 3, try and focus on one glyph at a time. Focus on your big one, get it to level 15, then move on to the next one. And if you don't have the best glyph at the time of maybe this video or when you're going through it, just try and focus on one that you do have that you plan to kind of roughly put into your build. By the time you get level 60, if you've been running Nightmare Dungeons, you should have all of them. If you don't qualify though, if you take a look at this glyph, or if you look at this rare node, they'll say stuff like bonus, another 10% damage if requirements met, 160 willpower. This is for rare nodes, not for the glyphs. Sorry, I misspoke. But for rare nodes, if you don't have these stats, don't worry, you're going to get them. As you can see on your left here, all these stats are your stats on your character paper doll. So all of your strength as it pertains to Lilith statues, item contribution, whatever it is, that's what it's looking at when it takes a look to cross-reference your individual stat here. So it will build over time, and if you don't have them right at that point of getting it, don't worry, they'll turn on eventually. Also, points are at a premium, so don't go crazy spending off the beaten path. Like, I want to go to this glyph socket. I'm not going to go, well, I got 5 intelligence right here, maybe willpower right here. No, just beeline the shortest path that will also give you any kind of specific benefits you need. You want to stick to the closest path possible. You want to activate your rare nodes, your glyph sockets, and then get out. You get all of your power from glyphs, so you want to get those turned on ASAP. Lastly, the biggest thing here, I want to stress that it's okay to fuck all this up. I actively do it all the time, so don't be afraid to refund points, swap boards, go back. It's all a learning process. And hey, you know, you might pivot your build, so just don't freak out trying to invest points. Try stuff, reinvest it later, whatever it is. It's not that expensive to swap points at all, so experiment. And please, as always, play the game how you want. If you want to swap a whole entire board, you do have to remove all of the nodes from it, but so be it. It doesn't cost you that much money. Go ahead and do it and try some stuff out. Now that we've gone over some general information, let's go about how you actually approach your Paragon board. Now, I'm going to do this portion in the actual game, but we're going to switch to Diablo4.gg to build out a full board so that we have access to all the points and I can kind of pivot things around. But you start off right here, right? At the Paragon starting node. You've got your normal nodes, your rare nodes, and your magic nodes. So your rare nodes are important here because they're going to give you 2 bonuses followed by a third, tertiary bonus right there, right? So it's going to show us, hey, you know what? If you have this much stat, I'm going to give you this much more of one of your already existing bonuses. So this rare node would have given me 10% damage, but because I have 160 plus willpower, I'm getting 20% damage and 4% max life. As you can see, that is extremely important here. Then as we push up, we get more and more, all the way to our glyph socket. So our glyph socket there's going to be one in every single board, and these are going to be crucial because we're going to put our glyphs into this. So let's take a look over here at Amplify. So this has a radius size of 3, meaning that from the glyph socket, it will move out 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then it'll fill in everything in between. So take a look. There you go. So it put all the way around everything. I have basically not a circle, but it's close. I'm just going to say circle because it's easier for me to say, and I'm going to keep going from there. So this will give us 42% bonus to all magic nodes within range. Additional bonus, if requirements are met, enemies affected by curse skills take 10% increased damage from you and your minions. The requirement is 40 intelligence. So unlike the bonus required for rare nodes here, this keys off of our actual stats. This is keyed off of, it says right there, purchased in radius range, off of the individual nodes that we have in range of this glyph. So we're going to zoom out again here, and we're going to see that it requires intelligence. So we're going to use keyword search, and that's going to be crucial for you building things out because you want to look at this when you're trying to look at other boards, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second here. So we're going to click intelligence. So I can now see all of my intelligence nodes that I need to grab that'll actually turn this on. I want to prioritize magic nodes because I'm going to get the most per stat if there's any in range that will give me that stat. What I mean by that is, take for example here, this is a magic node of willpower, which gives 7 willpower versus this base one, which gives me 5. So I get 2 more willpower for the same amount of point. So it's definitely worth it. And I want to just make sure I have everything set. So this is when you can really deviate from your path. This is when you know you're going from A to B, and that B being your glyph socket and whatever board, and C being your exit point or legendary node if you're going for one. This is the time you're going to deviate from that path and really kind of fill in other nodes around to activate your glyph. That is crucial. You can also deviate from your path here and there for very specific rare nodes, but by and large, this is what you'll be doing. So that's really kind of how you're navigating this UI. And once you do this, this is going to show you any benefits that you're getting from the glyph. So 2.1% damage, 21 armor, and those are the bonuses that are happening because this grants 42% bonus to all magic nodes within range. Well, here's one right there, and there's one right there. So it's showing me directly how much damage I'm getting from all these nodes being boosted, almost said boofed, getting boosted by this glyph socket. So anything in green above socketed glyph is what is happening as a result of the requirements being met or the actual amplification from the bonus of the socket itself. I'll put something else in here just to show you another one. So this says grants 42%. Well, here's what this one does. It's going to grant me a 30% bonus. So my damage and armor is lower now, but we've still turned on the requirements for the intelligence. You can see all that is active right there. That's kind of just a general crash course of how you're going to navigate your board and how you're going to apply all of these glyphs. But once you get to the very top of a board, you get to this, the board attachment gate. Now, activating it is going to obviously give you 5, 5, 5, and 5 of all 4 of your stats. You click it, and then you can choose a selection. So this is what I mean. This is when you're going to look at legendary nodes and rare nodes, and you're going to focus on rare nodes because those are the ones that are actually going to benefit directly to your build, with legendary nodes being only 1 or 2 usually that are really directly going to benefit your build. So for example, Bloodbath, attacks that guaranteed overpowered. This is really going to be good for my build. But the rare nodes, while good, are not as good as maybe this one, which has a ton of overpower damage, whatever it is. So we'll get into that when we build the actual board here, but we would select a board by going through these, reading these to ourselves and going, okay, this is going to be the one that does it. I'm going to click preview. And now I can see that board and what it's going to look like and where I'm going to put it. That's another big thing we're about to talk about. So looking at this board, I still can use the keyword thing to really get a good idea. Well, you know what? I'm really focused on overpower. Let's click overpower here. Oh no. Oh, okay, cool. I got 7 individual nodes on this that are going to boost my overpower damage in some way, shape, or form. This is looking pretty good. But you know what? If I'm starting down here, those nodes are real far away. We're going to rotate the board now. And we're going to do it one more time. Now, those nodes are way closer to me, and I can actually attack them with little ease. Remember, you're trying to minimize your time in any board you are not trying to get the legendary node for. But here's a kind of a thing that I deliberately created to show you. We've done this. We've spun the board down here, and these are right here. That's great. But our primary focus on this board, inside and outside of anything, is always going to be the glyph socket. Well, now the glyph socket is very far away, and I don't really want to do that. So we're going to spin the board again. And that's looking a little bit more like how I want to approach this. And I'm going to do this all in D4 builds, but this allows me to have a straight shot to go up, go over here, then up again to get all of these rare node goodies that are going to give me overpower damage, right? This is going to be great. 1, 2, 3. There you go. That's 45% overpower damage. Then I can proceed up to turn on this socket. And that socket is going to enable me to then get more benefits, which I will then leave this board, maybe out this direction or up this direction, which I then attach another board to. Now, this is why we're going to use D4 builds, because this is a limit of what I can do board attachment wise, unless I've got enough points. So let's stop now and go into D4 build to talk more about this, because what we need to look at with these boards is what boards have the appropriate amount of nodes near the respective sockets. And that's a scary sentence, but let me just break this down really quick for you. If you look at this socket, we're going to cancel that. If you look at that socket, well, I know I've got enough intelligence and range. Boom. Intelligence turned on. But not all sockets have enough nodes to turn on every single one of your glyphs, because the nodes around them might not have enough to turn it on. So like, for example here, willpower. Well, I don't have enough willpower here to turn this on. Even if I had bought this one and this one and this one, it's still going to be just short. I'm still only going to have 17 of the 25 required willpower. I'm going to need to level it up to increase the range to grab these two. That just barely puts me there at 27. So that's what I mean, is we're going to take a look at how these sockets really shake out once we look at d4builds.gg. So let's swap over to the actual website, which you can find linked in the description. So I've recreated the board here in D4 builds, and you can see that it looks exactly the same. For all those of you that are using my Blood Necro build and you're waiting for an endgame updated video, it is coming out in the next day or two. This is how I will be building it out to show you. So if you want to follow kind of loosely what we do in this video, it's what's going to apply to you as you're going through that Blood Necro build. So what I want you to see with D4 builds, and probably the strongest thing here that I wish the game had, are these numbers right here. This is your glyph radius stats. So what it is saying here is that this, and it's highlighting intelligence 70, that at max range of 4 range, this glyph socket can get a total of 70 bonus intelligence. That's what that number is telling me. And why that is crucial, and why we're going to build in the direction we do, is this allows me to maximize the glyphs that I want to get for my build. And that's what you should really be looking at. So let's go ahead and add another board here. And we took a look at this in the game, but if I hover over all these in the builder, it shows me, it highlights, hey, you know what? This has got will of 54 for blood begets blood. That's probably going to be our first one, because there's a very good will glyph that we're focusing on here. Remember, this is a build that we're trying to double down hard on overpower. That is what my build uses, so that's what we're going to use. If you're playing maybe a Hoda build and vulnerable is something you're focusing on, then that's what you're going to go with. Or if you're playing a druid build with lightning, then do whatever. Maybe it's stunned or slowed. You're going to focus on a stat. You're going to find that stat and you're going to drill down on it, because that's what's probably the linking stat in your entire skill tree as far as the builds go. Again, for example here, all of my, if I go back to my skill tree here, all of my skills in this section derive giving bonuses to overpower as much as I possibly can. So that is why I'm focusing on that for this build. Again, one more time, you're going to be doing that for your own build in whatever makes sense. So as I look at some of these other ones though, Bloodbath, this is going to have dexterity focused, or Bone Graft, this is going to be dex or intelligence. Now what I mean by that is, again, the glyph socket can get this total amount of stats here. So this allows me to kind of choose which glyphs are going in each one of these individual boards. So let's go with Blood Begets Blood, because it's quite good. And if our glyph socket is right here, how do I want to rotate this? So I'm going to rotate this more, another one this way. Because this gives me, I'm going to type in up here, overpower. Again, this gives me those same ones we took a look at as we were talking about. And I'm going to focus on going over to those. We're going to click up and just kind of go across. Well, I'm at strength right now. You know what? I'm going to back out of strength and go into intelligence, into a dexterity, into some willpower here, into intelligence, overpower. We're going to pick up this rare node, get that one too, and jump up more. Now, I know I said, you know, don't deviate off the path. I've made an exception here because this is an exceptional amount of bonus damage. I don't recommend it, but it will come back to help us out in the long run. Now we're going to get over to this location and turn on the glyph socket. So what I want to do here is choose Dominate. Dominate's the one I want to choose because this is one that gives me overpowered damage. And this is exactly why I did not choose Bloodbath. Bloodbath has a legendary node that increases my overpower damage, which you would think you'd want to get first, right? Nay, take a look at the glyph radius. Intelligence is 65, dexterity is 49, but will is only 39. This allows me to maximize the amount of will in here, which is going to directly benefit my build because willpower is what gives me overpower damage, and it allows me to use this very good Dominate glyph. For every 5 willpower purchased within range, you deal 5.9%, just a 6% increased overpower damage. And when you overpower an enemy, all damage they take from you and your minion is increased by 12% for 5 seconds. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. If you're doing this to try and plan things out, you can click this icon, then choose level 15 on here if you want to level up your glyph to level 15 to simulate where that range would be. So if you'd like to do that with the builder, you definitely can. So let's now get 25 total willpower here. And I've got this build up on the other screen, and I'm kind of following along with what I did. There we go. We went all the way down here. Actually, I think I went under the bottom because this is a strength node. These are 2 intelligence nodes, so I might as well get more direct damage bonus because it helps my skill out. And that's another thing is when choosing the direction of these nodes, try to maximize the stat that's going to benefit you the most. Intelligence outside of willpower is my direct damage bonus. If you're playing a barbarian, that's probably strength. If you're playing a rogue, that's probably dexterity. I don't know. Look at your stats in game and make sure you're pretty much choosing these that make the most sense. Strength isn't completely wasted on me, right? It gives me armor, but I might as well get 10 intelligence here and focus to turn on the willpower and get a little bit more damage boost there. It's a little bit better more of an economic route. So you can't see it in this screen, which is the only unfortunate thing about using D4 Builder. So I don't know all the bonuses that have happened, but I can see here that for every 5 willpower within your range, you now deal 22.5% increased overpower damage. Well, that's awesome, right? Because this is now added into the 45% that we got from these 3. That is starting to get spicy. So we're going to go towards these to exit because this is our exit to get to the next board. And that's pretty well planned out. It's like I've done this before I made the video. It's like I'm smart, but actually I'm not. So we're going through this. We're going to get this other rare node because why not? It's on the way. The priority is this rare node and leaving. But we might as well get the benefit from here since we're going to go around it. And this is going to give us damage while we're healthy, which is nice, and damage for seconds after picking up blood orbs. All, build dependent. And again here, I can go down and across, or I can go left and across. We're at dexterity, might as well get more willpower, and then get damage, overpower, 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 damage. Nope, I actually skipped that one. Overpower. Because remember, we don't want to really waste points if we don't really need to, and go down and out. So intelligence, dexterity, more dexterity, intelligence, willpower, and out. I mean, you could have gone either one right there, right? And this is when we get into Bloodbath, because that's the one we want, right? That's our big juicy one. But you know what? I really don't like the orientation of this board. Take a look at how far away that glyph socket is. So let's rotate this bad boy. Let's get that glyph socket real close to us. And there we go. We're pretty much in a juicy range here. But we also want this legendary node. So we do have some good rare nodes en route. Let's try to get those and take advantage of it. So we're going to actually go down here like this. We're going to pick that overpower up again because it's just so crucial to our actual build. Pop up and around. And we're going to go intelligence, 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 intelligence into that bloodbath. Boom, we just turned on our first legendary node. The first time we actually took advantage of one. And this means now we can go towards our socket. We're going to go up, up, across, and go right into it. So now we're going to turn on the socket of essence. Essence is pretty good here because it's going to give us a significant amount of crit strike damage. You could conversely go with any other one as far as maybe it being intelligence, but we're going to look really quick. Well, you know what? 65 intelligence here. I can really maximize intelligence. The next one I can maximize is dexterity. So I might as well spend the points in one or the other. I find that getting crit damage is very good for your endgame experience, as well as vulnerable damage. Exploit is a generic one that everyone gets access to, and it's probably one of the single strongest glyphs in the game because vulnerable is a huge damage bucket that you can just really spike your damage. But for this intents and purposes, I'm going with nope. We're going with Essence here, and I'm going to level this up to 15. Doing that and clicking that. Now we need to turn it on. We need the dexterity. We need to put it in range. So let's go ahead and do that. So dexterity there. This is giving us some intelligence, but these are going to give us dexterity. So this way, this is a cool example of we picked up a rare node, which gives us damage while fortified, which benefits our build because we have tons of fortification, and this gives us some dexterity to turn on the actual socket. It's a cool little ditty. And we're going to pick up a dexterity node here, another one there. Remember, we don't need to follow a set path here. We just need to turn it on. If we can build towards an exit, that would be lovely. And we'll even do that. So now we're going to skip this rare node. This is healing receive. This doesn't really necessarily benefit me per se. Yeah, I can get willpower up here, but that rare node, not for me. And we're going to use that as our exit strategy to get out of this. And I'd probably go hulking monstrosity right here. So this is kind of this should give you a really good idea of how to build these out, right? I've gone with hulking monstrosity for our next one. So I know my glyph socket is going to be intelligence focused here, with willpower being a secondary. Let me zoom in there. Willpower being a secondary, and definitely not going to touch dexterity. Now, and that's an important closing note here. I'm not going to touch dexterity because sure, it might take me, let's see, 25 dexterity just to turn this on. But these all scale with the amount of node that you're putting into them. So for every 5 dex purchased within range, you deal 1% increased damage to vulnerable targets. Well, okay, if I type in dexterity here, and let's say we just go turn this on. You're gonna let me? Okay, well, yeah, this is another cool reason why I like D4 builds. I can just kind of have fun with this. Exploit, we'll put it at level 15 so I can better exemplify this. Explode. There. This isn't turned on yet. Let's do that. Let's turn on all of the ones we can in range that are dexterity. And that's it. That's it. That is all of them. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So 29 total. Yeah, right. That's everything because we know it's 29. So with that being said, all those only equals 3% increased damage to vulnerable targets. So it's kind of a waste to put exploit here versus if I put an intelligence one. Let's just grab a rando intelligence one here. This one. I can get all the benefit of this by just really going hard in the paint on intelligence boosting to this one. So look at those sockets. Look at your build. What does your build use? What's the primary mechanic, the primary stat? Focus on it. Make sure you're putting these glyphs into the boards that allow you to maximize the gain from them and give you rare nodes that complement your build. Focus on the 1 or 2 legendary nodes that benefit your build. To again, if you're using my Blood Necro build, I'm looking for this legendary node, and this legendary node is actually quite good too. But the rest, not interested. They will not benefit me. So don't look at those legendary nodes. I think they're a little bit of a honeypot. Stick to looking for those rare nodes. They're what's going to give you the lion's share of your bonus. If you have any questions on this process, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. It is not an easy process. It is convoluted. It is hard. It is wild. But I think that breaking this down to looking at the rare nodes, looking at the legendary nodes and everything like that, it should hopefully be approachable and palatable. And once you really looked at it, you can do this on your own quite easily. It's easy to use it with a builder like this. You can do it in the game by counting manually if you so wish. This just makes it a lot easier for you by just kind of putting all the information right in front of you, and you can kind of click things around. It might take you an hour or two. Do it during like a lunch break. Do it towards the end of the day before you go to bed. And you're going to have a build that's pretty fun, and it's your own custom built thing. And that is a really, really fun experience in any ARPG. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything like that, as always, just go ahead and put them in the comment section below. But have a good one and take care.